Yo, yo, yo! Round the EcomiVerse, episode 61. We got Crypto Rain, Danny Dabull, Queen Vivi, and Dr. Stuff. Woo! How are we going today, guys?
Good.
Good.
Yeah.
Doing good.
Awesome. I know we were just chatting a little bit about our portfolios doing well in the last 30 days, and it's really starting to get quite bullish out there for pretty much all projects. There's not too many that aren't feeling some heat. So,
Johnny, yeah, we love Johnny.
yeah, we love Johnny. We'll talk about maybe community sentiment at the moment. I think this might be the all-time high community sentiment, at least for the last 12 months.
Yeah,
For,
recent high, right?
For
well,
VB, OMI, yeah, everything.
What's funny is the night seems darkest before the day, right? And think about what people were feeling 6 weeks ago, and it was savage.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's a long one.
Mm-hmm.
So, guys, I can't really put your chats on the screen if they're too big. It just takes up too much space. It really does. I like short and sweet. If you guys want to comment, short and sweet comments, I'll definitely view a lot more. Yeah, so I'm not sure where we want to start off, but OMI's pumping. OMI is pumping. And, it's up, 75, 80% the last 30 days. It's getting up there. I know, Rain, you want to get more OMI, so you're a little bit sad that it's pumping already.
Yeah, disappointed, right? I was hoping it would stay low for longer. And, the market doesn't often do that for you. And so I was waiting for some other timing to get good, just to have a lot of liquid cash. I mean, I was able to get 17 million OMI at those lows, and I can't be mad about that. But I hope to have way more OMI. And the timing's always been bad for me, that when OMI's super low, I just don't have a lot of available cash. And I don't believe in selling something that's low to buy something that's low. I only sell what's gone high to buy something that's low. So, my OMI position is much smaller than I wish it was. But what I wish it was would be $1 billion plus. So I'm not even close to there, unfortunately.
You want to be a Dr. Profit.
Yeah. Yeah, Dr. Profit is in a good position.
I love this this comment by Crazy Dan. Now playing everywhere, the silence of the fudders. and that's it. It's been, I haven't seen any FUD in 2 weeks.
Even the frauders are being bullish.
Yes, yeah, I've seen some people be converted. Do you guys catch NFT Pirate stream with Mr. MC1?
I missed it. It was this morning.
I've seen clips, but I haven't been able to watch it yet.
5 or 6 hours ago, and it was, they showed on there's a couple of people that have actually turned from fully I guess you call them fudders into back to bullish. I think it was the not sure squirrel guy, but he's like, I'm no longer fudder. I promise, please unblock me, everybody. I'm back to bullish.
Depends on how far he went, right?
Yeah, he went off the deep end, and I was like, hey man, I think you just need to take a step away from Twitter for a while, because you're acting pretty irrational. And then he blocked me, and I was like, oh, all right. And that's when he went full-time fudder. And look, I'm happy to see any of the people. I always say that there's a lot of people who had every right to be frustrated, right, at promises that hadn't been made, that kept, or timelines that hadn't been kept, right? I never, those people had every right to be frustrated. And I think that we're starting to see some of them come back, as now they're starting to see some of the promises fulfilled, right? And the timelines, even though they were passed, they're finally, they're meeting more of the timelines or around that time. So I love it. I love to see people coming back and getting excited again about that, right? It's just the personal attacks and things like that I'm just like, nope, it's not going to happen. Get blocked.
100%. And that's the thing. I mean, so go for it, Lori.
I was just going to say, I think the same thing. And, somebody was we were talking in Spaces the other day about the difference in where the community would have been 3 years ago and today. And, you just see when certain things come out that don't set, whether, it'd be an individual person, you see certain members of the community that kind of step up. CB, who's real popular on Twitter, said there's antibiotics within the VV community, which makes it really strong. And Dr. Stuff, you are 100% one of those, antibiotics and white blood cells, or a white blood cell, antibodies. And you are 100% one of those people. So, I appreciate that you step out because I notice sometimes people will be reticent to kind of call something that's, personal, et cetera, out, or, Vivi's dead, which, to me, that's call outable. And a lot of people will like talk about it to other people, but they don't say anything, they kind of sit back. And, I just, I want to shout you out for being just one of those people in the community that, consistently, shouts it out. So
Vivi Queen, thank you very much. That means a lot coming from you. Thank you.
100%.
Yeah, I can say I'm a huge fan of Dr. Stuff's analysis. Absolutely agree.
It's never cheap shots. It's never but it's always on point when it needs to be said. Because early on we would kind of just laugh at people and but now you see when people say things that are blatantly false or crazy, like head crack, talking about Dan and Dave being part of the deep CIA or true. I had 300 people in the Twitter space too, by the way, with that shit. But it's pointed. It's not just constant, moon boy. It's pointed in it, and I think it's a sign of maturity, and it makes me feel good about the project when you have, that's the highest stage of any principle, if you will, or value, is to defend it. There's 4 different levels, and I'm not going to get into the psychology of it, but the highest level that you can reach is to defend something. The first is kind of just to comply, but that's the highest level. So when you actually start defending something, that means you're here. So I don't see that in other communities, at least not in the bear. Maybe in the bull, we see a lot of it in the bull, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I fully agree with all of you. I really enjoy Dr. Stuff. I was watching you before. I think you were on Rain's channel before I even did this show or anything. In fact, I watched all of you guys. Obviously, Queen Vivi, you weren't really on YouTube, but I watched Rain, Daniel Bull, and Dr. Stuff before I'd met or talked to any of you guys, and so it's really fun for me doing this show with you guys live now, and it's always really been fun. But Laurie, I really want to know, how do you know all this psychology stuff? Where does this come from?
Well, my master's degree is in performance improvement and instructional behaviors. So you have to learn like the fundamentals of the brain, the psychomotor with your hands, the attitudes in your head, and that is one of the reasons I know promotion is the highest level in our affective domain, which is
awesome. That's cool. I've just learned something new about you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think a lot of us are educators. Surprising. Like that's another thing Vivi has. We have a lot of educators in our group, and I think that's interesting too. I don't know, Danny. Have you noticed that?
There are a bunch that I've met. It's a pretty diverse group. There are a lot of people from a lot of different backgrounds bringing a lot to the table. So I've enjoyed the part that I've enjoyed the most is the community and meeting people and the conversations. It's been great.
It is amazing the level of quality of people that Vivi and Ecomi attract. It's an incredible high quality, right? So if any of you didn't catch Dr. Stuff's interview with Mr. MC1, right? And what Dr. Stuff wanted to do is pull out his background, because most people, he's so humble, he doesn't talk about his background. It's an incredible background. Mm-hmm. And, Dr. Prophet and other people, even Randy, like Randy is an amazing person. And he's been amazing at backing in a big way some things that were very risky that went very, very well. And he also, he attracts all kinds of billionaires to the space. And so the level of quality in the Ecomi family is amazing, and something that's always been really interesting to me. That level of quality really started around March 2021 to attract those kind of people, and a few people before that. But what they built is amazing. And that just comes from good leadership from David, right? So there's this law of the lid principle that you cannot attract better quality than the type of leader that you are. And because that kind of sets the lid. And so the fact that they can attract so many people is because David is such an incredible guy with high integrity that he can attract people that are very sophisticated in business and recognize his integrity levels and will follow that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're right about that. And Al, I think Al brings so much to the party. But
Oh, I want to meet him. You have this good relationship with him, Queen Bee. I am
Yeah, I know,
so
right?
jealous. I am super jealous. I still have never
what, you
met him
don't
in
hang
life.
out in the penthouse with Al in New York? I mean,
Gosh. That's
yeah,
awesome. Man, he brings.
I think we're all jelly.
yeah, we
Yeah,
should bring him
guys.
on. He's the fun guy. The thing with him is and a lot of people don't realize this. He's got a lot of things on the table. Like Vivi is not his job. He is now to the point where he's cultivated Marvel and Disney and a lot of that, and he's now just to the point with kind of like new license. But he also has, other kind of companies. And as far as crypto goes, Al's not, Al is not on there trading crypto or anything like that. So, this is kind of new to him. But he's got stories, guys, like serious stories. So we should bring him on here. I think he would come.
Yes.
I know
You can tell us some of the stories tonight.
he'd come. And what I don't want to happen is like, so Al, the price of Omi went from the TA on the this, and Al would be like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I'm sorry,
No, we would
Question type of stuff. Yeah.
we would
he's like, how's
sort of,
Omi doing? I'm like,
so we had David Yu on and we didn't mention Omi almost at all. So I think we're capable of doing it, and I think we can change what we do depending on the guest we have. And Al can't be such a good guest to have on. It will definitely be a very different show. But yeah,
and he's
definitely get him on.
pushing
Get him on,
80
Laurie.
too, he's pushing on. He's pushing on 80. So
That's your job. Your job is to get him in.
I'll consider it done.
That would be awesome. That guy is so amazing. He's one of the biggest OGs in the collectible space in the world, right? Like, can you think of somebody with more background than him in this? Almost not. David, maybe, but like Al is a super OG.
He is. So yeah, we have great quality. Just a Rolex, Songe. There's just so many, so many. And I got the chance to interview Dr. Prophet, and you're right, Rain. His background's phenomenal. Like he was doing trades. He told a story on the Queen's Court. When I had him on about sitting at his dad's, firm, making trades at 8, 9 years old, and his dad coming in and going, "Did you make another trade?" And he's like, "I'm in money." So. Just amazing.
He is such a savage business person. I love it when people try to like argue with him and their background is like a 12th grade education. And this guy's been in business for like 30 years and manages like, huge operations to the extent that the person he's arguing with cannot even comprehend. And they try to do battle with him on Twitter just because they have a Twitter account and he has a Twitter account. And it's just laughable to look at that and be like, oh my gosh, it's like a 3-year-old trying to argue with like, a PhD.
It's like trying to argue with a drunk. That's what I always say.
Yeah.
So there was a little problem I want to talk about today. We had some, everyone's probably going to be talking about this is MCP points. There's a little glitch at the moment. I think everyone should not panic. I saw in some groups people are panicking a little. I think it's just a bug and they'll fix it. So don't worry about that, guys. I assume that's all it is.
Is that what it is? Is it officially a glitch or?
Someone said that.
I'll say this. It's from a third party, right? So playing a little bit of telephone. So I haven't verified myself, which I normally do. Someone had said in Discord, they said that this is an issue that they are looking into. But there's no way, because here's the thing. There's some people in like the 2,300 point range that got dropped from being a master collector. There's no way that there was that big of a jump because it used to be like 750 points, right? And to jump to 2,000 or like above 2,300 points, and like in like a day, there's just no way that many people got that many points. You know what I mean? Like, so it definitely, just from a logical standpoint, has to be a glitch. Yeah.
But they didn't release any official statement on that, did they?
I'm going to look in Discord right now as we're chatting.
Ernie says he just took Randy to the airport. Almost killed him Saturday night, but he made it through. Oh, no. Poor Randy. He's obviously
Randy was talking about first class flying, and he said he wasn't going to eat so that he could drink and eat on the plane because he was rolling first class. So don't feel so bad for Randy. I'm sure
he's probably sleeping in first class. He's going to miss out on all the fun. Yeah. Modern Discord said they'll make an announcement soon. Hashtag soon. Hashtag soon.
Soonish. Like
yeah.
soonish?
I guess so. Yeah. I think my Master Collector badge just dropped off today because I mostly rely on the Omi points to be Master Collector. I think I've got 200 collectibles and 200 comics, something like that.
Are you staking the full 10 million Omi, Jordan?
Yep, for sure. That's probably the 10 million Omi I'll more than likely keep all the way into the bear market. So I will probably offload a lot of my Omi during the bull. But I'd love to keep it because, it is possible Omi just sort of keeps going or stabilizes at a pretty decent price. I don't think it'll ever come down to what 0.0056 again. I think that's it.
That was an amazing price for those that were able to get in when the FUD was the highest and the price was the lowest. That was a savage buy. So good job to everyone who did that. The scary one is it hits those lows because it looked like it might break below that support. And if it did, it might fall off a cliff and go down more.
Yeah, we had a lot of people calling for 0004.
Well, they were saying below that, below 0004, it would have, that could have been a massive dip right at that point then, because the next support level was way below that. So to Rain's point, right? Like you definitely got to have faith in the project to be buying at that. And like I talked to a buddy of mine in 2021. I had, I did this little presentation for some of his youth on crypto, and afterwards he was like, man, so I see crypto, I see Bitcoin, all these things. He's like, what should I get into? And I was like, well, it depends on what kind of return you're looking for. And long story short, he's like, I kind of want like some bang for my buck. And I said, well, one of the ones I'm most excited about is Omi, so he put in like 15 grand. And at the time, maybe this was 2022, at the time it was around a 0002. So it must have been 2022 actually that I was talking to him about this. But I said, don't talk to me about it. Don't ask me about it for 3 to 5 years. This is a longer term project, and they got to have some space to build out. And so I was talking to him just a week ago, and I'm like, as you can see, price is down. It was at like 0059, maybe a week and a half ago, something like that, 2 weeks. And he's like, do you still believe it and everything? And I kind of told him what I felt was coming this year. I think that like they're just on this upswing. They've hired a lot of people. I believe we're getting exchanges, at least multiple exchanges. Omi to NFT bronze tickets. We're already seeing the utility now for MTP points. We're seeing all this stuff. So then he threw in another decent 5-figure amount and bought more Omi. And I'll tell you what, he's very happy right now because he dollar cost averaged down to where honestly he's actually above break even now at this price point. But it was scary for him. I'm like, it could still go down, but I'm like, I just think longer term, this token has a significant chance of doing very, very well. So very happy for him that he decided to do that.
Mr. MC1 asks, what are the key drivers of Omi rising?
I'd say a big part of it is it just bouncing off of that support. So it was kind of going to go up anyway. And as it does, like the reason charting even works is because people trade emotionally. So when it didn't break through there, a few more people gained confidence and then they bought. And then they bought, that pushed the price up further. And then other people gained confidence and then they bought. And so a lot of it was just like, oh my gosh, it didn't, go down to the depths of the sea. And so I had been thinking of buying it, and now I'm getting some FOMO because it's not as cheap as it was, and then buying, and that's what's pushed it up. And I would say there's some kind of good news on the horizon, like things are starting to shape up, and sentiment's definitely picked up. So a combination of those two things, which is why charts turn around all the time.
Yeah, I definitely think it was, it started, I think, Crypto XR, and just whenever the community gets together, you notice a shift in sentiment. Happens, in Comic-Con, happens at Designer Con. So I think Crypto XR kind of started with some positive sentiment, and then you go into actual utility for MCP points. I think that bolsters it. And then now, like Rain said, on the horizon is South by Southwest, which is in just 4 short weeks. Then you've got bronze tickets coming out. So I do think that there is going to be sustained positive sentiment over the next, foreseeable future.
And we've got 60 days till the halving, guys. 62 days, I think.
That's kind of what I was going to mention. You also just see, like my husband tells me all the time, everything rises with crypto. So as I'm sitting there watching my Bitcoin move and I'm watching my Ethereum move, now I'm starting to like go into those, what else? You start feeling more confident, you start having more money, everything's kind of going up. So yeah, maybe OMI is going to pop, that sort of thing. So I think the overall crypto market, obviously is really helping, investors, who are seeing their money grow and then also wanting to take that, longer shot, if you will, as like, right, not longer shot, but higher X potential.
Yeah, I blame Randy too. He keeps recruiting billionaires to buy OMI, and I keep telling him, stop it. Not yet, later. But
Yeah,
he just does it anyway.
He does.
Yeah, in 3 or 4 weeks, apparently there's a big buy God candle coming. So just watch out, guys.
Yeah.
Jordan.
That's all right.
All right.
Let's see, Ben, Janik. I don't know. Anyone know about this? Anyone follow the wallets? I think they're pretty much out of OMI from what I know.
I don't know.
Come on, Ben. We need you, brother. Come on, we need you to sell at really good prices. Sell now, Ben, because
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
this
Kay
is
had a
interesting.
comment on this, right? Hello, Kay,
Yeah.
or Kamo, or whatever he's going by these days. He had a comment that said, someone said reinvest it, and he said he wouldn't touch OMI because Janik and what's the other one's name, owned
Hidenzi.
the majority of it,
Hidenzi.
Hidenzi. And it's like, that's the question. I mean, he threw it out there. Does anybody know that? Because from what I'm hearing is that, he doesn't own nearly what he did own, and he's bled off most of that. But
Well, so this would be interesting, right? Because I know that Crypto Bro tries to track wallets. Not that he's been perfect at identifying whose wallets they are all the time, right? There's been some questions about that, but he did respond and say something like, it sounds like he may know what, how much they have, but he wouldn't say, and that's fair. It's like, I don't think that it's problematic when you're saying that someone that holds the majority of the tokens, right? And then you're not giving actual numbers and you don't have proof to back that up. That's something I would consider FUD, right? Is that you're making a statement there that you don't have the proof, or if you do have the proof, then why don't you just say how much they actually have? But the majority, right, of the 300 billion tokens would be 150 billion, and so, I mean, above that, and obviously they don't have that much, but those type of comments, right, are that's what I would consider FUD. And we do know that Janik, or the story is that Janik has been dumping, and it's one of the reasons why the price got this low. So like he still might have billions, right? And that is something I do want to point that out. And I did say that any project, Ecomi or anyone other, when you have a small amount of people with a massive amount of the token share, that is a concern. You also have to look at their intentions, right? Dan and David do have a lot of the OMI token. But logically, do you think that they would just dump on the community, right? It would wreck their entire business. So logically, it doesn't make sense for them to do it, right? Dr. Profit, this guy's got millions now invested in VV collectibles, right? Doesn't make sense that he would dump billions of tokens
partner statues
and take the price down. No. So those are all the things you have to take into consideration. Now, Janik and Ben, if they have been dumping this whole time, then how do they have more tokens unless they're buying it back up? But why would they dump and lower the price to then buy it back, right? So these are all the things that, again, as I take a step back and take the emotion out of it and look at. But a statement like that where they hold the majority of the tokens, either prove that, right? Or, I mean, that's just an emotional knee-jerk response because Kay's frustrated at OMI or VV for whatever reason, right? But there's no support behind that I've seen so far.
Yep.
Well said.
Come on, Ben. We need you to sell.
So
Billions.
I'd like to talk about the new Lambo drop. Did you guys go for it?
Yes.
I didn't.
It sold out instantly, right? Was it
No.
instantly?
Not instantly.
At 32, there were rebounds available at 32, I believe, 32 minutes after, and
So
then
pretty quick. So within an hour. Within an hour,
32 minutes. Yeah.
That's pretty quick. That's pretty cool. I know a lot of people burnt a lot of MCP points, which is really cool. So the MCP points are becoming quite useful now.
Let's hear about that, Jordan.
Yes.
I think people should be selective, man. People need to be selective on their MCP points and not burn them on something like, Lambo drop is dope. Lambos are dope, but there are a lot of them now. And, you're shooting for a 2% chance at a secret rare. And some people were frustrated that they wasted point. They used points on the Lambo drop, but it's, probability and stuff.
Yeah, I started to hear a lot of whalish disgruntlement, let's call it, that I used all these points and hit it 10 times and got 9 rares. There should be something, if you have this many points to be in this ultra exclusive, or, so there was some frustration. What good are these MCP points and me having millions of points if I'm going to get 9 rares? So,
but I'm a little bit confused by that comment, because you can only use the MCP points once on the drop.
Correct.
If it's the rebound, so they can't buy 9. But I'm totally with Danny in this, and even it'll come to me. I just blanked out on the YouTubers, but basically what they were saying is, like, you can't, like, the mechanism is a blind box. So you can't complain that you're putting in to get the blind box. The whole point of MCP is to allow you to get the drop, because on a highly valued, even blind box, right, you might not get into the drop. But if you get in, you could still get a common or the rare or whatever it is, right? Superstar Money, that's who it was. Superstar Money was talking about that. But look, here's the thing. So Blade, that's coming up, right? Did I say that right? Is it Blade? Am I going crazy?
Yeah, Blade.
Yeah. So it's like what, 999, right? And it's one, and it's just one collectible, right? So this would, in my opinion, be something that it's gonna sell out instantly, and MCP points could get you entry into it, whereas otherwise your chances are a lot lower for the Blade collectible, not the comic necessarily, which I think is overpriced. I'm not a fan of that. But so like Danny said, you got to be selective about this, right? And they're going to start dropping these kind of lower edition stuff, and people can be burning a lot of MCP points, which they have. But then what happens, guys, when they drop something like a Pikachu, right? Or like, let's push that aside, right? And let's say that maybe there's a lot of rumors about Dragon Ball Z or a lot of other big collectibles, right? Where you're going to need as many MCP points as possible to potentially hit that drop. So definitely something to be very cognizant of, and not just getting too excited because you can finally use MCP points to use them all up in a couple goes.
I think the conversation actually ended where let's recommend a Vivi that, you could go for the secret rare and put so many points in, and, that sort of thing. And it was just like, there seemed to be frustration there, because this was a big whale. This was someone that spends a lot of money. Yeah. And there was big frustration there.
I think it's also, I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, I'm just, that would take it. That would take a lot out of the blind box, let's have 10 secret rares and, of a Pikachu, and then let the whales just burn all their
MCP points for it. Everyone else would be mad. The 10 whales would be super stoked, right?
Yeah. I think the thing is they've got to keep it balanced so that average people want to go for these drops.
So but they can still get in. You still got 60% of the drop that the average people can get into. That's what I don't understand. Like, there's only 40%, and they could change that, right? For different drops, they might only say, "Hey, 35% is reserved for MCP," or only 20% is reserved for MCP. But like, I don't like the argument of like, well, this is just going to be pay to win or pay to play. That's not the case, because you still have a majority of people who can enter in and get lucky and get that regardless, right? So
I think part of the frustration is that people have waited 2 years to spend these points. Now they're eager to spend them, and they're just they're flush with cash, MCP points, and they just want to wager them. And then afterwards, it's like, what did I just spend my MCP? Right? You have buyer's remorse.
Yeah.
And I think it's also, they have to stress test the system. And so it makes sense that you're not dropping something that's like super dope early, right? Because you want to make sure that the system works, and in time, I think there'll be that drop that really is worth the points.
I think it's better on most of these blind boxes. If you really want the secret rare, it's more cost effective just to wait. you wait like a month or two, and then you buy it off the resale market, because then the number end up cheaper. Now, some people say, well, I don't want the history of ownership I want to be the first person on it. Okay. So you are paying a big premium for that. If you're going to buy 20 in order to have a good chance of getting a secret rare, sure. And you will be the original owner. I don't care about the chain of ownership as much.
I don't get that, Rain. I don't know. What do you guys think? Like, people really prop that up, like the Virgin Mint, like I minted it. And in the future, people are going to pay big bucks because it hasn't been passed around and touched by a lot of people. Like they're describing their freaking wife. Like, you know what I mean?
You got Ray clapping, Laurie. I don't think I was
do that.
I did not see that coming.
NFT. Are you shitting me? Like, and it's not a Bored Ape. I mean, it's a wolf, for God's sake. Like, is that really going to drive the price?
It may be a big case, but in like 30 years, right? So in the short-term future, like, do I care? Yeah, I would pay a tiny bit of a premium for that, but just a tiny bit. Down the road, if this goes huge 30 years from now, like, you'll have some oil money barons that fight over that stuff. And there's one holder that my Spider-Man secret rare. And everyone will be like, crap, man.
But it'll still be taunted. It'll still be dirty because I already got it.
But so look
it
at some of the
still won't be a
comments
virgin.
here.
You know what I mean? Like,
if you look at real world, there is like Sleeping saying Genesis mints have value in other projects, and then Slider saying in comics legacy collection with an original owner do go for a premium, right? But it's going to depend. We don't know, because there is a difference between physical and digital, and we do try to apply things that happen in the physical world to the digital. I think that's fair to do right now because digital is still so new. So there may be a case, but we don't know that. Just like there's this whole argument is like, are VV NFTs real NFTs because they're not minted on a layer one, and I'm like, you know what? I truly believe down the line, people aren't going to care. The masses aren't going to care. They're not going to care about the underlying technology. They're going to say, when was it minted on a blockchain where there's a timestamp to prove that it's number one, right?
Sorry.
Cut off the rails now, guys.
Anyways, it's a good discussion, but it's something that like we don't know. So I can't blame anyone who's holding on to some of those mints to say, hey, this is a low digit mint that I got from the store. And I'm going to hold on to this because down the line, and maybe it is 20, 30 years from now, and most of these have changed hands and they have high body counts, right? And yours doesn't, that people might care about that. There's Squirrel Not Sure. Yeah, there we go.
He's back.
I'm not buying
and
it.
Can you throw Atomic gave a super? I want to thank him for that.
Yep.
He also mentioned how new mechanisms, he hopes new mechanisms are on the way. Right. And that's also this is only like 2 weeks old or whatever. They're testing things out. I'm sure that there are going to be I'm sure they're going to be like MCP only drops or something like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
With their own IP, perhaps.
So this is exactly what Mr. MC1 was talking about with NFT Pirates earlier today. He was saying that for him being like a big whale, the MCP points for drop is not really what he wanted. He wants more, I guess, more utility with the MCP points. So obviously they're going to be working on that for some of the larger collectors that have, they've got millions of points and they don't mind paying a lot of money for a collectible. So for them to use the points on the drop is not super useful. And they want some other sort of utilities and things you can do with MCP points. So that's something that I found very interesting because I actually I thought what they have right now is great from a smaller, VV collector.
Yeah.
So I guess it depends on your level.
Okay.
Right.
And even if they did I heard this argument too, though, and my husband made this point, even if they did burn all their points on a Pikachu, if bronze tickets come, they'll just buy the bronze tickets and get more because that's how the rich do. I mean, it's not like, oh, I lost all my points. I'm going to be down here with you with my lousy 2,000 a day. It's like, who are you kidding? You'll whip out your card and you'll get bronze tickets and you'll keep rolling. So I thought that was cute, but at least it'll burn Omi, right? And put more money in the system if they do that.
So, but Slider had said, and this is, I still believe this is going to happen, where there will be some drops that you can only access with MCP. It'll be 100% MCP, right? And so, and then you're still going to have to win to bid, right? And then if you win the bid, you're still going to have to pay. So I don't think that you're going to get the drops where you only using MCP and then you get it. You're still going to have to pay, but you'll win the right to be able to buy the
course.
drop.
Yeah, of course you
And
still
that's
have to pay.
utility. And that's, well, there's some people though, Queen Vivi, that think like, oh, I just want to be able to use my MCP points and not pay. I'm like, I don't think that that's one of the
Oh,
utilities
no.
that's going to happen, right?
VB's
But-
never done that with anything, right? Even their
No.
logos you had to pay for, except the gold and silver ones. Every logo, the blue, like, and some of the people got blue ones. But you had, you know, even their logo, you had to pay for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did
We
get some
haven't-
new glasses for I Love Golf. Well, I got them for other reasons too, but
He loves it. Oh, he's gonna lose his mind now. Oh, there's a different. Nice.
yeah.
Are those for the yacht rain? Is that what you had on the yacht?
They're just for a different change of style. I got some other ones while I was out too. They're similar. They're both Ray-Bans.
Here we go.
Yeah, the shirt's looking awfully like Playboyish too. Is your woman like?
Undo one of those buttons for a super chat.
You have to
You
pay
know
extra for
Randy
that.
would be naked for a super chat.
Don't tell Randy that. He'll do it, and then he'll get banned.
My wife likes to bring home ones.
You know, it's a good night when you come back from the bar and you take off your shirt and money falls off. It's like, whoa, I had a great night.
All right, so when OMI goes up, do you think they'll decrease the max OMI? Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, they've already mentioned they will decrease the max OMI you need for staking as the price goes up. It'll probably be next season, so like next year, probably. I think maybe they'll do it every quarter or something. I'm not really sure when they'll rebalance that, but definitely you can't be when OMI is like we'll say 50 cents per OMI. You can't be charging 10 million OMI, like $500,000 to get stake your OMI or whatever it would be. A lot of money.
I saw Danny kind of cringe there when you said $1 and then 50 cents. He's like,
Oh, well, Danny, if you think about next cycle too, right? 2029.
Yeah. He's talking about.
OMI will be around for a very long time, right? And
And
if you
that's
look
the
at like Bitcoin, right? Like think about that. If burns do happen over the long run, right? Like the supply will decrease there. And so I do have a couple million in a cold storage wallet that I literally am setting aside for like a decade. And it's either gonna be zero, right? Or it could be worth a lot, but like I'm just controlling myself that way because we do talk about selling OMI, but I think that they're developing a lot of use cases for it to where we might just want to use the OMI we have, right? We can sell some of it, but then we're going to want to use it for things. And that's where I think the demand will be so high for it, is that people are just going to want to use it for its utility, right? And then the burning mechanism on top of that. So yeah, in a decade, maybe it hits that, and maybe it doesn't, or maybe it goes well above it and exceeds our wildest expectations.
What's crazy about bull markets is things hit prices they should never hit. Like XRP hit $350 billion market cap in 2017. It exceeded ETH's market cap. Should that have happened? No. Did it happen? It still did. So it's like, where will OMI go this cycle? People keep talking realistic numbers. That's not usually what happens. It hits unrealistic numbers and then it savagely pulls back.
Yeah, that's 100% accurate, and it's really interesting. Yeah, like the price of OMI, obviously, it's a project that's going to be here for a long time. Like I see Vivi and OMI and what they're doing and these IPs, and like how long do people collect things for? Like those comic books sit there for 20 years, 30 years, same as a lot of collectibles. It's not a short-term thing, and it's not a short-term project. I don't know. Some people, said maybe OMI needs to run a bit faster, but overall, like Vivi is going to be here for like at least another 10 years, in my opinion. So I think we've got a long time to
If
build
they're
everything
successful,
up.
they will be. Yeah.
Let's see. What's this?
Crazy Dan's question about coin market cap and why the coin ranking is off.
Yeah, I don't know why they do that. It's really weird how they do that.
Because I asked Reese and Puddin about this. It's because they have a hard time reading. They read it with like the reserve wallet and the whatever, the other wallet. It takes like the whole supply into consideration, and it gives it a wrong market cap.
But then the market cap's not that far off, so I don't know what they still have. Omi like
They
way
can't read
further
it.
down than it should be. Like
Yeah.
CoinGecko is accurate. CoinGecko is just purely by market cap. It's a lot better.
Yeah,
for
I know
looking at it.
coin market cap is off on a lot of things.
It is, yeah, yeah. I used to think CoinGecko was inferior, but I think it's more superior. My opinion at the moment. Let's see. So Bill Garner was saying that he doesn't mind, burning MCP points and using them. It's a risk. Secret Rare could be worth 1.5 thousand. It makes sense for some people. I've actually not used any MCP points so far.
Me
Number
neither.
one reason
I don't have enough.
is well, the drops at 1 a.m. for me, so I haven't been awake to do any of the drops. So once I get the 24-hour wait list, that's going to help. But the second reason is I haven't really wanted to risk any MCP points yet. I want to save them for Dragon Ball Z and maybe Pokemon, maybe a few other things.
They're going to need some hot drops, to really excite people about the MCP points.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or just accessories, right? I think
they know
accessories
that.
will help.
What's that, Queen Bee?
I was going to say, I think once we get EcomiVerse or we get our home environments and they do accessories, I could see a lot of people wanting accessories.
Accessories would be cool, and to Danny's point though, I think that they know that. And this is me just speculating, but I feel like with some support behind it, but they have to know that there's gonna they want to use this momentum and not lose it. So I do think there's gonna be some big drops coming, right? And they are starting to size the additions better with this blade at like 1,000, right? I think that at a $50 price point, I think that definitely for the people who land that, there's gonna be a lot of people who just want to hold that. So I think that's gonna hold a solid price there, but I think that there's some things coming up, man, in the next 2 to 3 months, because they understand now that they have the MCP out that they've been holding back on some IP that they're going to be ready and willing to release to those who have been waiting for so long to use this and reward those people. That's my guess.
So speaking of Vverse, Mr. MC1 was saying he'd be willing to pay 5 Ethereum to have somebody deck out his Vverse house.
And I'll do it, but I won't do a very good job. But I'll take it.
Sign me up. Sign me up.
That's the thing, right?
I'll link my wallet in the chat.
Wait,
And we had comments from other
Ethereum
people.
3K? Okay.
Yeah, no, there's other people saying they'll
2,900.
pay 1 Ethereum, 2 Ethereum. So it will be a big thing, and Vverse has a feature that allows you to give access to other people to come and work in your environment.
That's
which is
really
such
cool.
a cool thing. Yeah.
I might walk out of his
I will
environment.
too.
Now, if you watch the interview with Doctor of Stuff, you probably realize that he'll probably set up like a 14-step interview process for that person. Or how many interviews do you have to go through?
How many interviews? You have to do like 20 interviews.
Yeah.
That was so crazy.
What you got to do is give Sanjay a little wine.
Right?
Just get him
That-
liquored
that's
up
how
a
you-
little bit.
Or tell them a drop's been botted. That's the other thing. Oh,
Here we go.
man.
Here we go. They're going to be qualified. I don't know.
Oh yeah, okay. That's fair. That's fair.
Multi-step
maybe-
interview process, I'm sure.
You could show them a portfolio, right? You'd have to build a few Vverse pads first. Work your way up.
Yeah.
Well, those Vaultaholics have been building for a long time, and that's what we could really see, depending on how this VVverse shakes out, right? And then I'm sure there's going to be levels and time frames on building to those levels, right? But could it get to a place where there's an in-game or in VVverse economy? And this is the first step, right? Where there's people who all they do is they build people's vaults or build people's homes, because people like Sanjay who have these massive collections and they're like, I want this deck out and here's some of the ideas that I'd like to see, but I don't have the time to do that or the skills, right? But then someone else who does that, and they can have like a full-time job just building vaults in the VVverse. Like that is wild to think about.
Yeah, especially when you're getting thousands of dollars for doing that, and it would take thousands of hours, right, to build these things up as well. So, well, maybe hundreds of hours. It would take a long time.
Collectibles, yes, with normal people's collectibles, maybe not so much.
But yeah, there definitely could be a few full-time builders. I don't think you would have a huge amount. Well, you know what? If we get 1 million users, we get a million users in pretty quickly. Like all they need to do, guys, is have at the end of one of the big Disney Marvel TV series, like the next season of Loki, is just have a little QR code that you scan it and it takes you straight to Vivi. Like that's probably all they would need to do to get, hundreds of thousands of new users pretty quickly. And it takes you straight. It doesn't just take you to a Vivi app. Maybe it takes you to the Vivi web app, but it takes you specifically to like a Loki collectible, right? Maybe it's exclusive to the QR code, so it's always available for people. It's like an entryway. It's a gateway drug, right, into the Vivi.
I hope
world.
they're beefing up their servers massively, because when it hits, and this idea of digital collectibles has still been out of the narrative, and you're seeing that with flow stuff, you're seeing it with a lot of stuff, but when it hits, it's going to hit so hard and so fast. And the amount of people FOMOing into digital collectibles will be huge. Why? In my opinion, digital collectibles are superior to physical collectibles. I had a call with a good friend. His parents had a toy store, and they had saved a whole bunch of early Star Wars collectibles for him. So they've been boxed up for 30 years. But now he has to send and get them graded and stuff and all this difficulty stuff, and they've gone up in value. But imagine keeping something stored for 30 years, and now you have to send it off to get graded, whereas with physical or digital collectibles, you have an instant marketplace. They can see what the mint number is. You don't have to get it graded. You can have it, like, you don't have to worry about shipping fraud, none of that stuff. And you can sell it to anyone in the world, because if you're selling physical collectibles, you're like, oh, where are you at? And they're like, oh, I'm in China. And it's like, can I even mail it to you? Is there a safe way? Whereas on the marketplace, you just put on the market, and anyone in the world that can access the marketplace can buy it. And so physical collectibles, that narrative is going to hit. When it does, it's going to be crazy, which is what made me laugh about people months ago. They're like, oh my gosh, I don't believe in VV because of this. And if they don't do this and this and this and this before the bull market, it'll never do well. And it's like, they don't have to do an additional thing. All that has to do is this narrative will come into play, and Omi's token will go absolutely crazy. Not that they're going to stop development, but even if they didn't do one additional thing, it will still go crazy, because this narrative is powerful and their position is number one in that narrative. It will go crazy.
Yeah, Rain, something that made me very sorry, Jordan. Something that made me super bullish is Ticketmaster. I was on Ticketmaster ordering tickets the other day, and I saw digital collectibles in the upper right-hand corner. I'm like, what the hell is digital collectibles? And I go up there, and it's like you could get now for your tickets, like your NFL tickets, your soccer tickets, your certain concert tickets, and they're digital collectibles on the Flow blockchain. And if you read all the information, because then I start reading all about it, it was like, these are non-fungible tokens. A non-fungible token is, and I was like, okay, the terminology, it's creeping, it's creeping.
This narrative is going to hit, and they have some of the best licenses out there with the coolest stuff. I mean, their premium collectibles are amazing, that you can do them in augmented reality. And as the Apple Vision Pro gets farther along, these things will integrate with that. The potential that this has is really, really huge. Now, will the potential play out? Probably. We're never guaranteed. Oftentimes people say, can you guarantee this will happen? This is the investment space. It's speculative. There's no guarantees. Just the probabilities are really, really high. And when in life do you get such high probabilities? Rarely.
So I listened to this awesome podcast, Bankless podcast, with the guy, Luca Netz, who bought Pudgy Penguins, right? And basically got physical Pudgy Penguins into Walmart stores, right? And I mean, the price point on Pudgy Penguins has gone, it was like 0.7 ETH at the low, and now like it's about to flip apes, or it might have actually flipped Bored Apes by now, right? And one of the things that he talked about, and he's just like, anyone who can't see it is blind, but like, we are going digital. Like that's where it's going. There will still always be a space for physical, but the world is going digital. And if you're not going there, you're gonna get left behind, and that's like David has seen this so early on, right? And to be able to land this IP and get that going. But yeah, being the first there's a lot, right? He's paving paths for others to follow. And so there's a lot of bumpy roads and mistakes that are made that people can then copy and see those mistakes and not make the same ones. And yet people do these comparisons. They're like, oh, well, Vivi's faltering at this, and these guys didn't do that. And like, that's because they got to watch Vivi fail there and then make sure they didn't do it. But if they were first, you better believe that they would have made some of the same mistakes and things there too. But I am extremely bullish on just the future of digital. And Danny, like, so I went on Mr. MC1's advice, I did the I did the test of the Apple Vision Pro, and oh my gosh, I got done and I just sat there, and the guy's like, "So what are you thinking?" I'm like, "Hold on." I'm like, my brain is still trying to process what I just experienced. It was mind blowing.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And so I'm like, to be able to start seeing my collectibles, and this is the difference, right? You can have, I saw Dr. Prophet post with this Iron Man that wasn't a VB one, but it is a different thing when it's yours. And you get to look at that and you're like, I own that. That is the next level. And so there will always be a space for the free stuff. And people argue, well, why would I want to buy this when I could just have the free thing? And I'm like, because you don't own it. And that makes all the difference. And to be able to look at that in like whatever the Apple Vision Pro is, that spatial awareness. Oh my gosh, I just got so excited. I almost bought some right then, but I'm like, yeah, I got I was that close.
You're like, how much Omi would that buy?
That's exactly. I was like, I gotta wait until the bull run really hits, and then I'll pick some of those gains to buy it. But
yeah,
if you want, Jordan, we can look at a little bit of TA on the Omi token. If you want,
sure. And just while you're pulling that up, I just want to say that your comparison, Rain, before about the digital collectibles versus like the physical collectibles, and how you have to physically send them and all that stuff, that applies exactly. I was just listening to Michael Saylor and talking about gold and Bitcoin. It's almost exactly the same comparison, right? Gold is like the old physical collectibles, and then Bitcoin is like, the digital VB collectibles that you can send instantly. You can transfer. There's no cost for that. It's easy. It's on the, on our blockchain. Yes, second layer, whatever. It doesn't matter. You can still track it. And it's we are going to that way. We're going to a more digital virtual space. Go for it, Rain.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what's exciting. And you're even seeing the gold ETFs sold off like 3 billion. It was likely moved over into Bitcoin. Why? Because Bitcoin has some superior properties over gold. Now, here was the scary part, right? So we had this low here in this bottom, and this came down and it started to break below that just ever so quickly. And it looked like it might break below, but this is when we had some heated discussions. I was like, look, it could break below this, but this is this is a price of a lifetime. Holy cow. Now, it didn't break below that. It did break to the upside, and we're seeing this bigger W form. And notice it's really struggled at this resistance level, and it probably will here too. So don't get disheartened if like this sentiment changes. People are just new to this. And they get scared because, well, a lot of people are still very emotional in this space. They haven't had the time to learn to not listen to their emotions, put it aside. And it could do something like this. Now, we don't know if it will. That would be amazing if it did, but it could very much do this before it then runs some more. So don't be shaken out if it does. That means probably your last chance to get some discounted Ecomi, because there's so much coming for this year. We don't have all that much time left. We have 60 days before the Bitcoin halving. We haven't seen new people come into crypto yet. We have seen some of the people that went away start to come back. And so we're seeing some new money come in, but it's not truly new money. It's existing people that just got washed out by the bear market, that lost all hope, that are like, oh, wait, this is happening, and they're coming back in. But we will see floods of new people with new money coming in. And that's what I talk about when I say the rains are coming. We've experienced nothing yet. This is just early days, exciting stuff. And one of the reasons somebody said rain is on one. Look, I'm quite excited. One of my early followers, I talked with him the last couple of days, and he's been pretty early on in my channel. And I never tell people what to buy. I only tell them what I'm buying. And so he loaded up on some things I was buying, and he made $3 million this last month. So that was pretty exciting. I mean, we talked about 3 months ago or 4 months ago, and he had a couple 100,000 in gains from something else. But then I was like, oh, baby, that gets me excited to see people do so well in this space. Realize that most people in crypto space don't do all that well because they can't buy at lows like what we just experienced. They literally sell at those points, and then they buy in way higher, and so they don't do very well. And part of what I'm passionate about in crypto is teaching people how to do the opposite of what they often want to do, because it does lead to good things. So if you see it going down like this, don't panic. That's fine. That's almost expected. If it doesn't do that and just runs up, okay, the chance of that is pretty low, but that could happen. Most likely it's going to do something like this, and it's no big deal. Also, we did have a question. Somebody asked me about the yacht. That's, I did recently create an Instagram. I actually have two, but Facebook doesn't like what I said about COVID vaccines a while back. So they made it hard for the one to get any traction. So I created a second one. And, this is the yacht picture of that. So I am taking some adventures now and again, and I will be taking more. And so some of these just are following my adventures. I don't talk a ton about crypto, a little bit in this. And I do have some videos this is one that I think is also on my YouTube channel, but crypto will be the biggest word of 2024. So you get some crypto stuff. A lot of this is more just adventures stuff. But that's where that was from. I did want to bring up, as we were talking about Lambos and people buying Lambo stuff. It depends on what you're here for in collectibles, right? If you're here to get collectibles, cool, then buy whatever. But if you're looking for price appreciation, be specific on what you're buying. There's 19 different Lambos out there, right? And if you're trying to buy every one of them and you're a collector, well, then that makes perfect sense. If you're going for price appreciation, look for specific ones that you think will outperform everything else. Lambo's a big name, but who knows how many of these they make. And so they might make a ton of them. You probably want to buy either the first series ones, or you want to buy a secret rare that's special if you're looking for appreciation. Just a thought as an investor. I'm more on the investor side. I'm 80% investor, 20% collector side. And so that's how I think about this stuff.
Rain, I'd just like to point out as well, you said, retail aren't really here yet, and that's fully accurate. And if you look at Google Trends, we're not even a quarter of the way where Bitcoin got to the same price as it is now. We're only a quarter of the amount of Google searches from retail for Bitcoin, for the word Bitcoin. And the other thing is that I think it's the last 1 week or 2 weeks, retail have sold the most Bitcoin. I don't know what the hell retail is doing, but they don't know what they're doing. And they've been selling Bitcoin right before the halving. It doesn't even make any sense. They've done no research at all. So this must
they
be
just hit prices that they had previously bought at, and they're selling because they're scared.
Yes, yeah, there must be. They must have maybe they got it at maybe some of them even got it a little bit lower, and they're like, oh well, I've made double my money. I'm going to sell it now, and they just don't understand the halving cycle and everything. Because who would be selling now? It just makes no sense to me.
They're also rotating. Some are also rotating into alts and whatnot.
Yes, some are selling and then buying altcoins. That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
But the other thing too, Jordan, though, is historically there's been a pretty substantial dip in the price of Bitcoin 30 to 40 days before the halving, if you look just historically. And so some people might be thinking that that's going to happen again, and so they're selling. Yes. But the thing is I've just learned you can't time the market, for the most part. And so if you think something's still going up and you still want exposure to that, then I'm just going to hold. And if it dips, then I'll buy some more if possible. Right. And so I can ride that wave up even more. But I've just learned the hard way. I've tried to do that, of trading it and being like, oh, it's going to dip. And then it doesn't. And then I get all emotional because I'm like, I really want to be in this again. And just has never worked out for me. But that's
we just had a 20% dip in January. So, market shakes these things off, moves on, and gains steam.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to dip like
I can tell you how those people do that. Those people that even do research and know it. It's they see that they paid, like my husband got ours around $29.30, that they see that. And now if that doubles in a 7-month time frame, because that's about when we got in on Bitcoin, if that doubles, and then I look at my 401k in that same amount of time, and it's like 0.08 or some shit. It's so bad. It's sad. That that person in you goes, my God, I just doubled my freaking money like that. You know what I mean? So, I get you on that, but it's hard. For someone like me who is fairly kind of has always been conservative until I got into this space, that mentality of doubling your money in a Midwestern area in 7 months is you should be grateful for. You know what I mean? I mean, that doesn't happen either every day.
And that must be the people selling. That must be the people selling.
I mean, really, and then there might be the scared people, or this is the high. But I mean, sometimes the people get in trouble because they're like, "Yeah, I'm gonna be a gazillion freaking air," and then they just watch it tick, 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 tick.
Yeah.
Just like I watched my vault go from $750,000 to 90.
Yeah.
Watched it. I watched
Yeah.
it between me and my husband. Our
That's
collective.
euphoria. Yeah, the
I
euphoria
watched
will get you.
Yep,
it was it was my first time, and and I should have sat there and went, $750,000 is a lot of money. I mean, I'm not a, I mean, that's still a lot of money. And like that would have been like a 7X or something at the time for us. But it was just like, and it wasn't even like I think it's going to go greater. The reason I didn't sell was like, this is phase one. We got a long way to go, like we got 10 years for this or whatever until I have to quit working, but looking back, it's like, what a dumbass. I could have 7X'd and bought all this stuff back again and done it again, so yeah, it's
Rain,
been,
can't hear you. Rain, can't hear you, buddy.
Rain muted. Yeah.
A lot of people get caught up in that because they're new in this crypto space. They're just new at it, right? And so they don't understand the cyclical nature of it. They don't know when to take profits because it's new. This is why most people do poorly in crypto. Number one, they kind of chase around what's hot instead of buying things when they're low. In fact, when you're scared to buy it and then holding till it's high, they chase what's high, hoping it goes higher. Secondly, they don't know to take profits when they are up. So even if they buy high and it goes higher, they don't know when to sell. And so the first cycle, almost everyone coming into crypto literally gets wrecked. So you'll see people coming in this cycle and they will be way up, and then they will be massively down. And it's just because they didn't know anything about the cycles. And many will then leave the crypto space and say, oh, this just isn't right for me. Whereas if you learn the cycles and what's going on here, and you learn to set your emotions aside, this can be the most profitable thing that's ever happened to you in your life. This can be the opportunity you've waited for your whole life. And that's what I saw crypto as. Not in 2017. 2017, I didn't know what I was doing. 2018, when my gains had gotten absolutely savage, and I started to really research and learn about the cycles of this, that's when I realized, man, this is the thing I've waited for my whole life. This has the most predictable investment cycle out of anything out there, and it's extremely short. It's 4 years. This is life-changing. And got super excited all during the bear market. Like, I'm just sitting there buying more crypto, and people are like, oh, why are you buying that stupid thing? Bitcoin's dead. And I was like, whatever. Sure enough,
That was me.
They're like, oh, wow, how'd you do so well? And it's like,
But
I totally was fudding Rain. I was like, don't talk to me about Bitcoin, man. I'm just like, oh my gosh. I bought Ether at 1,200. It went down to 400. Then I sold out and bought XRP, and then that went down 50% all within a month. I'm like, you're crazy, because I didn't understand it. And then Queen Vivi, so I really like, I was sitting there telling everyone about my secret rare Spider-Man that was worth $85,000, right?
And one too.
Yeah, and my buddy was just like, I really think that you should sell. And I remember distinctly looking at him and being like, are you kidding me, bro? I'm like, it's going to be $1 million by the end of the year, right? Like, but there's reasons behind why I said that, right? Because we had been told that interoperability was coming, and I was looking at the prices of Bored Ape Yacht Club, and I'm like, are you kidding me? This is the first secret Spider-Man on the blockchain and stuff. And I learned a lot then, back then, like I did believe, and this was my own mistake, right? I didn't do the research as to logistically, did that make sense? And would Disney and some of these other IPs be comfortable with the interoperability, right? And I just believed what was being said, and I've definitely learned since then. And I still sold some things at the top and made some good money there. But then I rolled it into other things that were like higher priced as well that I thought were still undervalued. But my life is really good. There's that greed though, right? There's that greed that you're like, it's going to get higher, and you don't think of that. And now I'm like, I have an accountability buddy that I call, and I'm like, these are these prices, man. Tell me to sell at least a portion of it.
But it wasn't about that, really. I mean, it was, but it wasn't. Yeah. It wasn't short term about that. I didn't believe Spider-Man was going to be $1 million at that cycle. But I do still think that in 10, 20, 30 years, that has a serious potential, you know, and that's the problem where you're either a traditional investor or you're a player, you know, and I don't mean that in a bad way, you know, drop in, selling, cycle, sell, you know, buy again, lot, you know, that kind of thing. You know, my thinking has always been long haul, you know, so even though I wasn't like, I'm going to be a millionaire off this Spider-Man, I was thinking in 10 years, like legitimately, when NFTs become a big thing and digital, we do go into that digital world. I'll keep it from there. So it was like this different sentiment of just looking at crypto and digital collectibles as a long-term invest, like almost as a, like an IRA or a 401k versus probably an investor strategy, which my husband is trying to help me with, where you take the cycle, you take profit out, it goes back down, you put profit, you know, that kind of like conscious deliberation in it.
It's
So
definitely worth doing that over time, but you will get that thing where you're not the only like not the original holder of the one secret rare Spider-Man anymore, right? You're
and
gonna have
then
a high body count on
then it'll
those
be
secret
so
Spider-Man.
dirty.
That,
You swapped around
conversation
everywhere.
been with, and maybe it'll be worth more.
Maybe it was Foster's.
But that is important too to think about, and I do care about that. If I can get a collectible that was held by someone, you know, like David Yu
Oh,
or
that's
something.
different.
Yeah,
That's
But
different.
that is one thing there too, right? There's going to be so many different variations on what people perceive as valuable to them, right?
Yeah,
That they would be willing to pay a premium on. So it'll
yeah.
be interesting to go down there. But to your point, Queen Vivi, here's the thing, just to give some perspective, right? The people who bought the very first Superman comic book and then sold it in the 70s and probably made some decent money, right? And then that person sold it in the 90s. But what about the person who bought it back then and then handed it to their grandson? Right now, their grandson's selling it today. How much more money was made? And there's these cycles, and that's for sure, right?
Yeah.
And I've told this to Rain, right? But like, I mean, there's this story. I've done a lot of research into this, and they can't necessarily verify it that the research was done, but whether or not it actually happened, Fidelity supposedly did this research into who is the most successful people in the portfolio, right? Whose portfolios had the biggest gains.
People who died.
And the story comes back that like it was the people who had either died or the people who had forgotten about their accounts or had
That's
just left them and
me.
not touched
I'm
them.
the dead person.
But
I'm the dead person, Doc.
those are the biggest gains because so many people do try to time the market, like you're saying. And for me, I'm not going to try to time it. I'm just selling percentages. And will I make as much gains? No. As someone who's able to somehow time the top, no. But I'm this time I'm walking away knowing that I've made substantial gains
Right.
along the way. Right. That's my strategy, and I won't make it as much as someone like Randy, who if he goes all in and Omi goes crazy, right? I've diversified, and he'll wait to sell, but that's just my risk tolerance, and I'm very happy with that.
I also want to talk a little bit about Bitcoin price because you know some people like we're talking about retailers selling, some of them are, but I don't think it's going to dip like usual, mostly because of the spot Bitcoin ETFs. Because if you guys have been following and tracking that, they have bought up I think it's more than $14 billion worth of Bitcoin in about a month. And Coinbase, which is where they're getting all the Bitcoin from, had $44 billion of reserves, and they're now down to $20 billion of reserves. That's in like a month. So that they've only got a month or two left of reserve Bitcoin, and there's nothing left after. I don't know where the ETFs are going to get Bitcoin from, but it's going to make the price go through the moon.
Yeah,
So
and
I
make
don't
the
think we're
price
going to
spike.
get that dip.
And that's where the additional Bitcoin will become. So we're running into a supply crisis, right?
Yep.
And you can see it coming when you watch supply crisis. If you're in the crypto space and you know what to look for, you see this coming. It's like, holy cow, this ship is going to run into the port. It's going way too fast. This ship is going to go. And all of a sudden people are going to see the price spike from Bitcoin and they're going to be shocked. And they're like, what happened? Bitcoin went way up. And it's like all the rest of us are like, didn't you see the ship not stopping running into the port? Like we saw this for the last 4 months coming because they were buying so much. They can only print so much Bitcoin per day. And that's about to be cut in half. Like this was coming from a ways back. How did you not see this? And it's because they're not paying attention. And so then you'll see Bitcoin go crazy. A lot of retail and further institutions will wake up to, oh my gosh. Then they will throw money at it and we will be selling and buying crazy things like yachts and stuff like that.
And Coinbase has been going crazy. and MicroStrategy's value has
Mhm.
been going crazy.
All-time
So,
high. Yeah.
yeah, also just accumulating. And then I heard a stat that Fidelity is taking 1% of one of their retirement accounts and investing it in crypto.
Yeah,
So
putting
like,
Bitcoin, I think. Yeah.
because what's going to happen, I mean, in this, my husband and I were talking about this, and he's like, well, what's going to happen? People might see, this big spike and say, like, what the hell happened? And they're like, oh, that was your 1%, and then it's like, boom, you're
Yeah,
in.
because they've got trillions of dollars under management, right? And so when they just allocate 1% to their and Queen Bee, what you're talking about is like a general fund, right? It was not a specific crypto. This is just a general retirement fund that people now recommended, and a
Yes.
percentage of that goes into crypto or Bitcoin, I think it was. That's crazy, right? That's now being mainstream adopted, and
Yes.
like 3 years ago, this was a joke, right? Bitcoin was a joke,
Mhm.
and now it's got quite serious, and the price is going to go through the roof. I've been trying to tell people this for so long now, and I don't want to be like I told you so, but that's going to have to happen at some point, right? The price will do it, right? I won't need to say it to anyone. They're going to come back to me like, oh, Bitcoin went up. I probably should have bought some when you said it. I'm like, well,
Maybe. Well, my investor said when I told you I was moving my money from my traditional 401k, he said, you know what? When it all went to hell basically to me, he said they legitimized it through the legal system because it just kept bringing it up to the public and forcing it. And by taking the cases on, they legitimized it. And, basically like that's all she wrote. You know what I mean? Like, what, we're giving in, I think, as you could see with the approval of the spot ETFs and Fidelity and, some of the other companies that are just seeing it.
Yeah, they're running out of arguments to hold it back, and they're running out of political capital to hold it back.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, they're turning with the flag. I keep hearing about who was it, Elizabeth Warren or someone flying the flag of crypto or the crypto inventor. So let's go. Let's go. I mean, so I didn't sell, Jordan. So I guess that's what I'm telling you. I'm not, because my husband will bludgeon me in my sleep, and I don't think I know the password to my IRA account.
not financial advice, guys. Never financial advice here. But
yeah, I don't think I even
I'm not
know
saying anything. I'm holding it all. At least towards where I think the peak's going to be the end of this year. What do you guys think?
I think it's quite possible if well, I think it's possible if it starts early. It depends when we hit all-time highs. If we break all-time highs.
Bitcoin has now hit a Fibonacci, is bounced through this Fibonacci resistance that's never done this early. It's the first time ever.
It went above the 200-week, right?
Yeah. It's never
done that
it's already ahead. It's already months ahead of where it normally is. So we don't know what's going to happen, but it's an exciting time.
I do think there's something to be said of an earlier breaking of the all-time high and an earlier end to the cycle.
A lot of people talk about a 4-year cycle, and it's easy to use that number, but it's not truly a 4-year cycle. The time between when the halving is and when the bull run hits has been shortening every single cycle for the last 3 cycles. And it was never a true 4-year cycle anyway. And so it's this time going to be shorter than it ever was before. So it places it likely at the end of this year for its blow off top. Now, it could extend and run longer. It's really hard to tell how long things will run, but I will be shocked if November, December, we are massively up on both Bitcoin and altcoins from here.
Yeah. So it's traditionally 18 months, though, is what they normally say from the halving. So do you think because it's happening in a much quicker fashion because of the spot ETFs and the approvals of it? Is that what really just because everything's normal until you get that unexpected, and that's truly been the unexpected, right?
We've never had them before, right? They've tried to have these for years.
So does history matter as much as it?
Well, it's also not 18 months. They're giving you an average, but if you look at where the average came from, it's actually shortening every cycle. And so the 18 months is misleading.
Gotcha.
Oh, 18 months. No, last time it wasn't 18 months. It only averages to 18 months, but it's been shorter every single cycle.
Well, so So Bitcoin has hit its all-time high after the halving anywhere from 12 to 18 months, where Bitcoin hits a new all-time high. And so it could absolutely do that again. But a couple things there's been spot Bitcoin ETFs outside of the US for a while now. Europe's had that, right? But the thing is almost every single country buys US stocks. Right, like they all do. Like, but U.S. people don't necessarily go out and buy like other international stocks. So, like the U.S. stock market has a massive impact on the price of any company or anything like that if it gets listed on a stock exchange in the United States. So, the Bitcoin spot ETF in the United States is a massive deal because it also legitimizes it for not just U.S. companies, but then for a lot of other companies who have kind of been like, oh, yeah, Europe's doing it, but Europe kind of does their own thing anyways. Like, I'm waiting for more legitimacy, and I'll wait until the U.S. actually does it, right? They see the U.S. as a much more stricter regulatory regime. And so if it's accessible there or okay there, then they're going to feel much more comfortable about going into it there. So it's massive this time around.
So you guys know Robert Kiyosaki from Rich Dad Poor Dad?
Yeah,
he just put out a prediction of 100K Bitcoin by June.
Yeah, but he's nuts. That guy is a clown. He flip flops back. Like, he said he was waiting for $1,000 Bitcoin last year.
This is the first time he's ever been this bullish on Bitcoin.
He always,
This is the first time
I wouldn't say he's nuts.
Yeah, he's like, he's nuts.
I mean, listen, he's very successful. Look, he made himself a lot of money, so congratulations. However, he puts out outlandish things, and he goes back and forth on things constantly, where he'll say that he's waiting for Bitcoin to crash to $1,000. He's not touching it. And then he'll say it's going to $1,000 by June. He sounds like Jim Cramer. You know what I mean? I just can't stand
I like Robert Kiyosaki a lot in that he actually helped me start to think like an investor.
Yeah.
And he's right on his principles. His specific predictions are often early. And so, like, do I give credence to his specific predictions? I don't, just like you don't, Danny. I think we're exactly alike there. I would say overall, like, I really appreciate what he's done in helping people think about money and investment and using it. He is a better gateway drug to people thinking about money right than anything else out there in his book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Fantastic to help people start to think like an investor. And I love that he created that in a simple, easy, anyone can understand way. Amazing. His specific predictions, I don't follow either. Because the truth is, he doesn't follow crypto super closely. Yeah. He follows it from a distance. He's rich. He does what he wants. And he throws out these big numbers because it gets him in the headlines.
Right.
Cool. So he gets publicity out of it. And he doesn't care whether he's right or wrong in the short term. Is he heavy on crypto? Yeah. He'll make good money on it. He's already in a good position. I don't give much credence to his specific predictions.
Yeah, I saw him live once, and I've never seen someone live like that. He's very intense, and he literally kicks somebody out of the show, like out of the audience. Right. He's like, "You're falling asleep. Get out of your chair and leave. If you're not going to pay attention to me." It was so intense.
Wow.
Like, man, this guy is like strict. He's like, he made everyone's like, sit up straight, listen to him. Because he was in the military, right? He's not someone that you stuff around with. So actually, Danny, I think he might be a bit of a clown with some of his predictions, but he's a very serious guy.
Yeah.
And he does say I think he recently interviewed Michael Saylor or someone like that. No, it was Pomp from Anthony.
Okay, Anthony Pompliano, yeah.
Yeah. So he interviewed him, and he was saying like he's an old guy. He doesn't really understand technology, hardly ever uses a mobile phone. So this is why he's been so behind Bitcoin for so long. He also gave us the exact number. He said he holds 65 Bitcoin.
He does?
So, yeah. So that's a decent amount, 65. I think it's like $3 million or something at the moment. Or maybe it's more than that.
Not bad. You should put that into alt.
Yeah.
He's doing it wrong.
We'll catch up and pass him. We'll be like, that's a nice yacht there, Robert. You know, it's like Danny passes him on his mega yacht, you know.
Yeah, Bitcoin's cute.
Should have held Samomi.
Randy will love it. But I mean, I think he has $100 million in real estate and other stuff as well. He's quite wealthy.
Yeah, he's done well for himself.
Yeah, so it's just a really exciting time now. I'm just super happy. I'm really enjoying VV and Omi, and it's all looking good at the moment.
Yeah, so if someone wanted to follow me on that Instagram, I forgot to give the name out of it. It's as simple as The Real Crypto Rain. I mean, not rocket science. So somebody had taken Real Crypto Rain already. Like, what are they doing? Right.
I'll add to the description after the show as well, guys. So It'll be in
So
the
wait,
YouTube
now we have the real Randy Chavez and the real Crypto Rain.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
I
put
would
the real
love
Jordan
to have
Riz.
crypto rain, but somebody took that, and then someone else even took real crypto rain. I'm like, come on, what are you doing?
All right, so I'm
What?
going to be the real Queen Vivi.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna create that. I'm gonna create the real Queen Vivi. That's what I'm gonna do.
I'll be the real Dr. Stuff.
Steal it from you. Oh no! So stealing these animals. That's funny.
This is silly.
That's amazing.
All right, yeah, that's cool. Here you go. Bill Garner said he built his real estate portfolio because of, I don't know how to say his last name.
Kiyosaki.
Bill is quite successful from everything
Oh.
I'm getting. He hasn't said much, but this dude's definitely has done well in life. So I love that he's part of the fam and his support. It's amazing. The really real crypto rave.
Yeah, Bill is always supporting content creators as well.
Yeah.
He's always shooting up super
Bill's a
chats,
man.
and he's a big supporter. I agree.
He's a rock
We love
star.
Bill. Actually, have you guys seen him? He was on Randy's channel live a couple times.
Oh,
What?
no.
No,
Yeah, yeah.
Gotta put a face to this, Bill.
that would
No,
be
I
awesome.
have not either. I definitely have to check that out.
Yeah, I don't know how you'd find it because Randy doesn't really name his shows super well.
Yeah.
So they're just all like named
What
the
do
same.
you
Like,
mean?
maybe
Live
you only
sex
use-
stream, and it's
There are
like
no thumbnails either.
Yeah,
it's
thumbnails are
just like a picture of someone's tweet. or
Whatever the
something.
yeah.
Yeah. So good luck finding that video, but it does exist. Maybe
That is
Bill
funny.
can tell you. Yeah,
Um,
it's really cool getting his perspective as well. Like when he was actually chatting with Randy on camera. Yeah, so maybe we'll get Bill on here sometime. Bill, you want to come up on around the
Yeah.
EcomiVerse?
That'd be a lot of fun. We
I
love
enjoyed
Bill
that.
Garner.
Yeah.
yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Randy and I are going on tomorrow on Randy's channel, and we're gonna have Guido on there. So
Who?
Guido,
I feel like I've seen Guido before.
yeah, he's the one who won the Vivi logo through the charity that Randy and I ran.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So yeah, so he's gonna make an appearance, but he's a big guy out there, so that's gonna be good to hear a new perspective. This is his first time, so he's a little bit nervous, doxing himself, but eventually people realize you're gonna go to the parties. What's it hurt to be on camera at this point, right?
It's nerve-wracking for people who don't do it.
Yeah.
So what I think we should do at the end here for like the next few minutes is everybody show your favorite cryptos. So I'll go first and just say, obviously you guys know I like Epico token. It's still under 1 million market cap. So check that out. And MCADE, I know Danny's big into MCADE as well. MCADE, it's Medicaid is a full name, and that's like a gaming utility token. And it's like it's a whole gaming world. Rain, is there any cryptos you'd like to mention?
Yeah, so I'm price sensitive, right? So at the prices Omi was at, I was like, oh my gosh, this is too good to pass up. It's still at a really good price. Is it as juicy as it was before? No, it's up 80% from those lows, but it's still a good buy. So I would say Omi. Another couple that I'm a really big fan of is Bumpers token. Bumpers market cap, last I checked, was like $3.5 or $4 million. If they're successful, it could go to market cap in the billions. Now, ultimately, their product is working really well. The question is whether it will get traction. I think it will, and if it does, then it will go huge. We'll see. Specifically, DeFi's been now the narrative for a while, and it plays in a lot in the DeFi narrative. So we'll see if that comes together. But I'm going to be adding more of my position to Bumper. I'm also a big fan of the Definity token. Recently, there's this big AI pump, and a lot of these AI projects have been running. And the truth is that I don't feel like Definity has really articulated well their AI behind it. Their AI sophistication behind their indicator is one of the best in the whole crypto space. They just haven't done a lot to market it and stuff. So I think it's massively undervalued too. Had several interviews with Manu, the founder. Paul from Definity joins me often on Wednesdays during the week. Really stellar team and a really low market cap. So I've been picking up more of Definity myself.
I've got both of those, Rain. I've got Bump and I've got Definity as well. Go for it, Danny.
Yeah, my favorite coins right now. Well, Tectum's run up quite a bit, Tet, but I really like that. I like it for before Devi, it's the fastest blockchain. They actually just recently broke the record for most transactions per second. They're a scaling solution for Bitcoin. They have an innovative soft note technology. And so I think, with the Bitcoin narrative, Tet's going to do very well. I like AI Tech is my AI pick. It's like a software as a service. Recently, all AI has been killing it lately. I like games for a living in the gaming sector, along with MCade. Really, there are so many good projects out there, and it's such a good time still to really build out positions and make gains. But those are some of the ones that I like a lot.
Awesome. Thanks, Danny. Queen Vivi, is there any specific tokens you want to show, or just Omi?
I couldn't have said it. They took everything I was going to say. Mostly Danny. He's like, I was like telling him like, this is my position, and this is the computing rate, and I'm giving him all these stats, and then he does me dirty. So go ahead, Doc.
Yeah, that's funny.
Sorry, I was just looking at some of the market caps and some of the ones I was thinking about on my mind, because you guys have mentioned some, but like Omi, I mean, even at the market cap or price point with Omi, I still feel like I don't have enough, and I know that I want to use some of the Omi for some things. So I am looking forward to Omi the NFT, because hopefully I'll be able to sell some of my NFTs and get more exposure to Omi. So I'm not going crazy into Omi, but I did buy some. But one of the and I've talked about this multiple times. I've made some good money off of it, bought and sold. As much as I say I don't try to time the market, I have been able to do well with animal concerts. That's one. I mean, I was buying during the last summer, and even like as late as December, bought quite a bit. And then from the bottom in the summer, it did like a 12x, and then even from December, it did like a 3, or maybe it's like a 5x there. But so I've sold it, and then I bought back in again. And I just think about the Apple Vision Pro and watching the Alicia Keys segment.
Yeah,
where you're like in the studio with her, right? And if
Yeah.
Animal Concerts can do anything like that, or even if Apple does it and Animal Concert like kind of rides on its coattails, that thing could go bananas, right? Or it could go to zero. This is a higher risk one. I don't see a lot of tweets from them. There is concern that I have for that, right? So that is one that I am stacking because it is so low. But it is very high risk, but also extremely high reward if it can ride on even on the coattails of Apple Vision Pro and these type of concerts if that gets announced. So that's one of them. Another one, Devi token, that still has a lot of room to run. If it does truly all the things that it says it can do with this 8 million transactions per second, which it's been tested, like they've had Accenture come out and validate that, right? So, but I haven't seen the report. There's some other things there, but that has some significant potential. So I'm definitely getting more exposure to Devi token. And then like one of the ones for me that if you want AI, and this is a much higher market cap, but I still think in the bull run, they're going to do very well, is Chain GPT. They have an AI. So it's funny because I could have gotten access to a pre-sale of Chain GPT. And it was because it was right on the coattails of when ChatGPT 3 came out and everyone started using, I mean, it really became big, right? And I was like, I didn't do the research. I just saw it, and I was like, yeah. And it's done extremely well from there. But since then, I've dived into it a lot more, and I'm like, man, these guys definitely have a lot going for them. But it is a higher risk because it's already at such a high market cap that the type of X's that it can make compared to some of these other tokens, not nearly as high, right? But I do feel like it's pretty solid. The trading volume on it is like 13 million a day. It's pretty good, right? So again, I like to diversify into like projects that are super high risk but super high reward, and then some that are kind of, I feel like can still do multiple X's, but not as much risk or upside to it. So
awesome. Thanks, Dr. Stuff. That was really good. So between us all, I think we've given you guys about 8 to 10 projects to look at. Always do your own research. I know Crypto Rain goes into more depth on some of those, same as Danny the Bull and Dr. Stuff. Like I know a lot of us do more videos on them. I've done some videos on Epico if you want to check that out as well. Queen Vivi, are you doing any Queen's Court anytime?
I don't know. I'll let you know.
It's okay. That's all good. That's all good. Just checking in.
It's fun being a guest and just, roaming.
Yeah.
Around.
We love having you on here, so you're always welcome here. It's great. And
sometimes I need to queen. Sometimes I do need to queen, and just sometimes, but you know,
we
we'll
have
get
got a
out
lot
of
of
it.
good comments from like
We'll get
they,
out
they
of
like everyone likes to have you on here and have a female's perspective because apparently
Mhm.
there's too much testosterone on here. I didn't know that. I didn't think it was too
Toxic
crazy.
masculinity. There's a lot of toxic masculinity in this.
Toxic masculinity. That's right.
Me and you at the flagpole afterwards, Danny, for saying that.
Oh gosh, oh gosh. Well, anyway, thanks so much for watching, guys, and
Thanks, guys.
please follow everybody on here. We put a lot of time and effort into onto this show and giving us our thoughts and our time away to you guys. So make sure you stay tuned for next video. See you guys. See you next week.
Guys.
Peace, everyone.